Hey guys, here's a little tutorial how to use the tracker program that comes with MIDI 80. Some first steps, right? A recent customer suggested this because I don't really have any write-up on the GitHub repo currently, so I figured I'd just do a little video. Thanks for suggesting this, David, and I hope that helps. The tracker program has become quite complex over the last months, and actually I might also forget how to use this if I don't record this somehow, right? So there are two disks, and Tracker 5 is the current version, is on two of the disks that are on the repo, and the second disk basically only has the tracker and nothing else because you need the space on the disk for the tracker to save its song data, right? And currently it doesn't allow multiple songs, so it's one song basically per disk, right? And it just saves its full memory state to disk, and this takes about 30 kilobytes. So current version is tracker 198, and the help page is your friend. You always get get to the help page using H, and that explains all the basics. So I'm going to show some basic tracking over the DRS-80 keyboard, but I also have the microcorg here as MIDI controller connected, and so one thing you want to make sure is that the microcorg or your MIDI keyboard does not overwhelm the MIDI 80 and the tracker software, right? So if you get activity from the MIDI keyboard over MIDI in here, right? This is where the microcorg comes in here, and you see some flashing here. That means it's sending some MIDI signals, right? Even if you don't push any keys, right? If I press some keys, I'm getting more activity, right? But without pressing keys, I'm also getting some activity, and this is the MIDI sense, or one of the pings that MIDI is sending, the keyboard here. I'm still alive. And the microcorg has MIDI settings here. So MIDI channel should be at 1, right? So make sure you have channel 1, and that the clock, the MIDI clock is set to external. So if you have it set to internal, then you see you're getting a whole lot of MIDI clock synchronization messages, and this might easily overwhelm the MIDI 80 as well as the tracker program. So set this to external, and then you get much less MIDI data here, right? So it should look like this. Okay, so but let's start with some basic tracker operations, right? So basic layout is you have 6 tracks, which are monophonic MIDI tracks, right? And I can navigate through these tracks here with the cross here, W, X, A, and D. And see, those are actually 8 bars, right? So these are tracks 1 to 6. And these are then also tracks 1 to 6, but bars 5 to 8, right? And you see as I'm going down here through the tracks, the track number, of course, changes, right, accordingly. And also these parameters here change. And the idea is that each track per pattern page, right, has its own parameters here, and those are MIDI parameters. In particular, for each track, you see the MIDI channel, right? And it starts, this is all hexadecimal numbers here, it starts at 0. So this is really MIDI channel 1, right? MIDI channel 2. And see, this is MIDI channel 10 actually, or 9 here, right? Because like I said, it starts at 0, so you have to add a 1 in order to get the MIDI channel. And if you know general MIDI standard, then of course you know that channel 10 is the drum channel, right? So if I hit enter here, it will play that MIDI note on that channel. And what MIDI settings is it using for this, right? So the settings here. So basically on channel 10, it is the first instrument, and so the S2 module, which is doing the playback here, right? The Wave Blaster module on the MIDI 80 card has only one drum kit, but if you had several drum kits, then those would correspond to different instruments, right? And then you also see the note number here, right? So because I don't have a piano keyboard here, when I push enter, I hear this note 2E, which is, yeah, turns out to be like an open hi-hat or cymbal or something like this. I think it's an open hi-hat. And this is the velocity here. It's at 127 max, and this is the gate duration. We will come to that. But I can change these parameters now, right? So I can if you look at the help page, you see that you can change per track, per pattern, these parameters, right? So in order to change the MIDI channel, you use plus and minus, for example. So say I don't want a drum track here, I want a different MIDI channel, right? I can use plus or minus and go to channel, say this is MIDI channel 1 now, right? And if I put a note here now, then that's a piano sound, right? And in order to change the note which is played back, right? This is now 2E. I can use these cursor keys here now. That way you can enter melodies, right? And of course you can also use the MIDI keyboard, but we get to this later. And so back to the MIDI drum channel, right? So again, I'm using now plus because now I'm at 1. I want to go back to channel 10, which is 9. And now you can see I can go through the different drums, right? Let's use a bass drum here now. Let's do our first track. So you can erase things using clear, and note that the cursor is now going in quarter notes, right? You can change the step size of this grid. So the step size is here S, right? Step size by using G for grid. And see, this is now 16ths. Now it's moving in fine steps, right? Or you can, you know, have it move in eighths or quarters, right? Like this. So let's put down a snare, a bass drum, you know, at maybe at quarter notes. And I changed the drum somehow. Don't I hear anything? Oh, that's because I changed the note number. Okay. That's a good bass drum, right? So let's lay down a bass drum. Use clear to erase something. Use enter to hear the sound that you're entering. And you can also use space, but this will be silent, right? And now if you want to play this back, you simply use, you know, pattern play back P. And note that it is now playing 8 bars. You might want to change this to 4 bars, 1 bars, 2 bars, whatever. And for this, you change the number of bars, change bar count B. Let's say we want to have 4 bars here instead of 8. We can also change the playback speed. And this is which parameter? Here. Page change playback speed, nm, dot. And why is this such a complicated verbiage here? So page change playback and so on. The idea is that these parameters are settings on a per page basis, right? So these parameters are on a per page per track basis. So you can change them for each track, but you can also change them for each page, for each pattern, and we get to this later. So in order to slow down the playback speed for this page, for this pattern A now, we use M and N. You see the playback speed here increasing as I use M and decreasing as I use N, right? And you can also, so this changes in N and M changes in increments of 10 because it's hexadecimal, or 16 in decimal, or use comma and dot to have like more fine-grained changes in increments, decrements of 1, right? Good. So now we have a kind of bass ticker running along. Now let's actually record a hi-hat, and for this I'm going to show you the tracking mode now. So see, there are various playback modes. So first of all, H is for halted and P is for pattern playback. But note the F here, right? And that means while it is playing back, my cursor is free, F for free. So I can navigate here and I can, you know, enter notes basically. But only if I'm in playback while it's playing back. I can only enter notes when I'm in record mode. And record mode, you know, this is entered toggle record with the hash quote. So hash quote, and note that the asterisk is coming here, right? And now I can actually, while it's playing back, I can change my pattern and I hear what I'm doing, right? So in particular, my cursor is still free. I can correct this mistake here, just hit clear, right? And I can now, first of all, I want to also have a drum channel here, so I'm going to change the channel from 4 to 10 again, or 9, right? So this is the drum channel now, and let me find a good drum first. Yeah, this is a closed hi-hat here, right? So let's use this one. So I can either, you know, edit it like this now by hand if my cursor is free. But now I use the tracking mode, right? T, and now see how my cursor, my record cursor is actually playing along, right? And I can just, you know, hold down clear and it's erasing in real time basically. But I can also lay down now the, just using space, the patterns, simple as that, right? Say we want to make a song out of this, and that the system has patterns A to Z, which correspond to different pages, so I can easily switch between pages. This is a page or pattern number here, right? Using slash and question mark, right? So B, C, D, E, F, and back with shift, right? Question mark, A, B, B, right? Say I want to make a pattern of this, and in the second pattern of this I want to add the snare drum, and for this I'm using the pattern operations, of which I have change pattern plus minus I just used, right? Slash and question mark, and I can clear the pattern using equal and make a copy of the current pattern using quotes, right? So say I wanted to clear this pattern, and no worries, you know, you are being asked, clear the pattern, are you sure? Really clear? No. We want to keep our pattern, right? I just wanted to demonstrate the equal operation clear pattern. To copy the pattern, you use double quote, right? Now you're getting this little dialog here. So if you got into there by mistake, then you can just copy the pattern A to itself. So simply use enter and it's not doing anything then. But here we want to copy it to B basically, right? And you can now select the target pattern here. So let's copy this to B. And now you see that if I'm going to pattern B here, then I have an exact copy of this, right? So what do I do with these patterns? I arrange them into a song, right? But first let's make sure that pattern B is somewhat different. And for this, let's record a snare here. So let me again change the channel to a drum channel here, right? And also let's find a snare sound. Those are already all too high. I think it's somewhere in the 2 something. You can look up these note numbers in the general MIDI standard, right? Okay, this is a nice snare. And let's record this. So enter record mode. So P for playback, right? T for tracking. And record. And maybe also change the quantization, the grid, right? So I don't make mistakes. So that way I would, you know, get quantized to the full notes, full bars, right? That way I would be quantized to 16ths, to 8th, or to 4th, right? I guess that's what I want here. very good, so I guess I want to really quantize to 8. Still not very good, but good enough for this experiment, right? And in order to arrange these now into a song, what you do is you use the song mode. First, let's disable record mode, right? And the song mode you are getting with the song editor with ampersand. So use ampersand, and now you get the song editor here, and you can just chain patterns basically 2 times A, and note how I'm actually also seeing, right, if the changes in the patterns, so you can easily recall what's going on. So let's just make it A, B, and then dot for AND or asterisk for loop, right? Enter. So now to play back the song instead of the pattern, previously we used P for pattern playback and it stays in the same pattern, but now you want to use exclamation mark, right? And then it starts at, I mean, say I'm somewhere. If I now hit exclamation mark, it plays back the song. And note that all the parameters that we edited are on a per pattern basis, right? So you can even change the playback speed per pattern, or the MIDI assignments are of course per track, per page, so per pattern, so to speak, right? Page and pattern I'm using synonymously. Okay, so we have a basic song, and maybe let's make the song more engaging by okay, let's also have C here. We don't have that pattern yet, right? But then we loop basically, and let's see, we are adding some bass, right? So let's just go back and make another copy of B into C, and then there we can now record the bass basically. And for this I'm going to use MIDI input now. So first let's find a bass channel here. So this is a piano, and we can use any MIDI channel that's still available, right? 2 is fine. And note that I'm changing the instrument like this, the note number, sorry, but I want to find a bass, and for this I'm using plus and minus, right, to change the MIDI instrument. Oh, sorry, that's actually the channel which I'm changing here. So I want, how do I change the MIDI instrument? Change MIDI instrument using U and I, okay. These are all pianos. And sometimes you get into a sustained sound, right, like an organ. And then you really want MIDI all notes off, MIDI panic. Here, for example, right? So MIDI panic is 0. I think that's a nice slap bass. So let's use this one. Play, record. And somehow it didn't, it messed with my channel assignment here, right? So I wanted the bass instrument, so let's change this again. Let's start fresh, and now it's actually time for the MIDI keyboard to shine, right? So I can enter notes. really crap song, sorry for this, but this is where the MIDI keyboard of course comes in very handy, right? So let's do some craps there. You get the idea. And so there are no MIDI note off messages recorded, but you have the gate duration here, right? And this we haven't discussed yet. So this is like in a arpeggiator where you can basically specify the note duration for the notes that are triggered, and you can use the asterisk to make this now longer or shorter, right? So currently it's the gate duration is at 4, which are quarters, right? But you can make this tighter now or longer. And sometimes it messes with the MIDI channel, right? So here now it changed my instrument. It's just changing the instrument using U and I. We'll do it, right? And now let's change the gate duration. These are full notes now. You see it's much tighter now, those are 16ths. Yeah, I like that, okay, good. So yeah, I think we have a look at our song here, right? Let's see how that sounds now. Of course this is really a crap song, but it'll do for the purpose of the demonstration. Note how I only changed the playback speed of this pattern now. So just to illustrate the point that these parameters are recorded on a per page, per pattern basis. You can even change the bar count, right? On a per page, per pattern basis. And there's a bug in the tracker, so don't change the bar count while it's running basically. Alright, yeah, I think we covered all the parameters and all the options, right? The last thing you want to do is stop playback. In song mode you use exclamation mark, in pattern mode, and note that song mode here is an S, right? Whereas in pattern playback mode there's a P. So you want to save this to disk, maybe just look at the help page and then load and save is L and S. Makes sense, right? So you got to be a little bit careful if you use the cross to navigate the cursor, right? Because the S is right in the middle of the cross here. So, but it always asks you, right? Save state, overwrite existing core dump file, yes. So I have a Go tag here which becomes active then, and I highly recommend you also use a Go tag. Takes a while. And I mean, the program has some more features, such as linking individual trackers over the parallel port, right? So you have a common shared synchronization signal, a clock, which is shared over the parallel port. I'm not covering this here, but maybe in a future video I can explain this. So I have a second TRS-80 here, the Model 1, which can also run a tracker, and then those can play synchronized together. So let's exit this program now. Q, right? Quit tracker, really quit. Saved your work. Yes, I did this. Quit, right? So, and now let's see if we can load back our song, right? Let's use L, load state, load core dump file into memory. Yes. Gotek becomes active here. And there's our song. I mean, I changed the bar count to 6 or something here just to demonstrate this, right? Yeah, and I don't know why it sometimes loses the instrument channel assignment, right? I do think that this might be a bug in the S2, but anyhow. So yes, I think that's what I wanted to show and demonstrate, and I hope it helps you getting started with the MIDI 80 and the tracker program. Alright guys, enjoy and thanks for watching and keep making music, right? Until then, see you next time. Bye.